What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today more Season 3 analysis. So we got the Season 3 patch notes much faster than anticipated. They are the Japanese notes, and thankfully we have people translating them. I'll have a link to the notes I'm using for this overview in the description. Shout out to my boy GREATFERNMAN and Hiago for doing all the translations for us as usual. Yesterday I talked about the preview changes to the characters. In the actual note, they have the full list of changes they're making to the game between the system mechanics and the character changes. There are so many character changes that I will not make a video about it. It's probably going to take more than an hour to do. So instead, I want to stream on like Monday, maybe, kind of going through it, something like that. Today will just be system mechanics. So there are a few we know, like things like the UI is updated and everyone has 3 assists. I won't really go into those right now. I want to talk about changes that I think affect the game a lot for most characters. If it's stuff about like combo changes, I'll just touch on it very briefly. There's a few I really want to go into though today. So like I said, like things like the superiority gauge and like the UI, whatever, like I don't have to go into that much. The first thing that I really want to talk about is the limit break. So 3 things happen when one character comes in. You do more damage, you gain a meter right away, and you do more blue life to the opponent. Now, in Season 2, they made a change, because they said this in Season 2, limit break is to address when you have a really large deficit in the game. So, especially like 3 vs 1 is probably the thing they're thinking about a lot. 3 vs 1 is very hard to overcome. It's quite impressive when someone wins 3 vs 1 now. It does happen. I won't say like all the time, but it definitely does happen. In Season 2, they made a change to address this, though. But it wasn't enough, and it's also not really commonly known. And how I'm gonna go about showing it is by doing this. So in Season 2, they made a change to sparking. Imagine not blocking everything. Okay, so in Season 2, they made a change to sparking where you do more blue life. So you see all this blue life. Now I'm gonna go and spark. I'm just gonna do a B&B. No assist, no nothing. So look at all this blue life I'm doing. Okay, so Goku is close to, I don't know, like maybe 45% of his life, right? Now if I do this same combo, same exact combo, without being in sparking, look how much less blue life I do, right? And one thing to note is that it's really easy to gain blue life right now. So this is why you saw some slightly more frequent sparking use in Season 2. Between like, if it's 3-2 but I didn't use sparking and you have a second character I can explode, I will do that. Or like, if I need to kill your character and also do a bunch of blue life, I can do that. There's a bunch of reasons why you'd want to spark. But most people were doing it for touch of deaths, getting the 3-1 in the first place, closing games before the opponent could use spark, like stuff like that. Now, the thing about limit break specifically, besides the damage of course, is that you have access to this buff all the time. It's not for like a limited time. Like once one character comes in, they just do more blue life. When you have 3-1, especially when you have 3-1, if the person with 3 characters gets a successful tag, the game gets overwhelmingly more hard to win, because you have to get, each successful tag is a success, you need an extra hit to win the game. So the more they get to tag you, the longer the game becomes and the harder it is to come back. So the fact that you do more blue life definitely affects that. How much it ends up affecting the game is yet to be seen. It's from like a player side, hearing the devs be like, we are really concerned about 3 vs 1, or like when a player is really down in a game, we want them to get a chance to come back. In my head, I'm like, yeah, so sometimes in this game, honestly, shit happens, and sometimes it's just 3-1. But if it's the case, like, let's say personally, right, there have been times I've been down 3-1 against a player, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, well, you know, I kind of just screwed up, I could do this, let's do it, and I do it, and it's fine. There are times where I got outplayed, and okay, in my head I'm like, you know, the game's not over, but like, I need to just make sure I don't freak out over this happening and game 2 just go in a new game. Like, especially if someone's consistently outplaying you, like, shouldn't they technically be keeping the lead type of thing, but here we are. I will say I really do like the blue life thing in general. The more damage is like question mark. It's kind of like a permanent mini sparking in a way. But the blue life thing is always nice because I don't like how good tag is in general. So I like that change. Next is one that many people will like and is gonna dead how I play the game for a little while. Is the changes to how the game treats rising overheads to make it vague. So basically, the fuzzy changes, they pretty much wrecked all of it. So first they made it so that some attacks that hit rising opponents will not hit if the opponent is considered crouching, and then they made it so that when you're falling in the air, when you land on the ground, so they probably won't change like, here, let me bring him in. So you get forced standing. That's part of the reason why all these mix-ups work in general. You get forced standing, but you could switch your guard between high and low, even though the game shows you as standing. But now, my assumption is, even though the game might still visually show you as standing, the game puts you in a state that says you're crouching because you're landing, so that the attacks won't work, if that makes sense. So even though this happens, the game will consider you to be crouching despite being in that state. It's a pretty nice quick switch right there. So it's like twofold. Like one, they likely assigned attacks that are commonly used for fuzzies like this now as attacks that shouldn't hit crouching opponents, and then two, when you land, they're like, all right, you can't hit crouching opponents with this. Now this brings up a bunch of like kind of wonkiness. Like first it says various jumping attacks. So usually like I think under Night you can't fuzzy people, right? You can't do like rising overheads in that game. They're not overheads, they're mids. So do they distinguish this and this? My assumption is yes, because it says various jumping attacks and not rising attacks. But the other thing is, what happens then, because the condition to be put into the crouching state is that you have to be landing. So it leads me to believe that if you get someone on the ground, if you get like, let's say like a Cell or a Broly on the ground, and you get like this, because you could do like, you could legitimately do like this, or even simpler, like just like that type of thing, right? If you're already on the ground and set that up, it seems, at least based on what the notes say, that you can still do them. So that's the only little other thing, but it just, from my perspective, it basically gets rid of like 80% of the fuzzy opportunities you have right now. Because the last change they mentioned is that when you fall, again, when you fall, even though you're going to be in that state, like you visually look standing, you're considered crouching. The last one, the actual last one, is that when you are falling, so one thing that's been in the game since it came out is that when you, like, let's say, it's just kind of hard to time, but like right here, like this, that, like one frame before you touch the ground, the game considers you to be on the ground. So even though you're airborne, you can get like mixed up. That's how the Piccolo and Majin Buu air fuzzy works. So they even killed that, and only like 2 characters really use it reliably. It's been in the game since it came out. Like, I literally remember like day 2 or something, like Danya Hoshi was like, hey, look, you could do this thing, but no one really did it until like deep in season 2. Not even deep, early in season 2, but they took that out too. So what this does is it takes out like 80% of the fuzzy opportunities you could do, especially like off snap. You're pretty much guaranteed these type of things. Oh, I messed it up, but you're pretty much guaranteed these type of setups, right? Pretty much guaranteed it, so it makes it so you are not, because the main thing about it, probably from their perspective, so for most people, the scene's perspective is, oh my god, I can't play Broly, I can't play Super Broly, they're tall, they get fuzzy, blah. But I think more from the dev perspective, besides like, of course, people want to feel like they can play the characters, talking about the character strength aside, you get an extra mix-up opportunity without assist doing that. So like when you have like a build like this, like mine, when you snap in, especially when you snap in like any character, because Teen Gohan could do it to anyone. When I snap in like Trunks here, so I get 1. I missed it, but I get 1. Then I get 2, and then I get 3. I get 3 chances, right? This will, and the main thing is like, okay, the chances are fine because I sacrificed attacking the current character. I'm letting a character build life and bring in another character, so that's like the trade-off. But I get to do one without using an assist, which they definitely don't like, besides things like command grabs or things that have like tricky animations, or like I have to spend meter, like EX Full Fang Fist, have to spend meter, command grab, you can mash or jump or something, right? Like this Universal Fuzzy is like no assist, I just get one, right? So I think they're addressing both these things at the same time. Next is going to be the key charge. So as you might remember yesterday, I forgot the inputs because you never use this in the game. This might as well have been a taunt up until now, but they want people to use it. One, it's going to be less recovery, and it beats Ki Blast, and you can cancel it into Super Dash by pressing H while you're doing it. So they also mentioned you can hold it with max meter for a little bit, but you can do that now, so it must just look a little different. So it gives people another way that's not directly Super Dash or Reflect, which are 2 pretty committal options already. It gives you an additional option against like Ki Blast zoning. Feels like kind of a preventative measure to me. Like maybe they might want to introduce more zoning type characters, because as we know, like zoning is possible in this game. It's not easy, but it is possible. And when it's really strong, it's actually pretty hard to get around, despite most of the projectiles being considered not being considered Super Dash, being Super Dashable. So they're just giving people another option to use. It looks like, we'll see how good it actually is at high level play. It's just nice that there's a use for this, right? Next is Vanish. So they gave Vanish more cancel options, Super Dash and special moves when you get the freeze. So early in a combo, yeah, this makes sense, but I think it's like a combo thing, especially deep into the combo timer. We'll see what the combo monsters have to do about that. Next is Dragon Rush. So Dragon Rush has bunch of things going on. So one is after air combos, it's easier to do in air combos. So right now I feel like that's not a huge deal, but there's probably some type of example, I don't know, where it comes up that's kind of awkward. The big one is though, you can cancel it from 5L, from your standing jab. So right now you get this, of course, but now if I do the same input, I'll do a Dragon Rush. This is a pretty interesting change. I don't actually know how much it will change the Dragon Rush dynamic. Because right now, you have your plus on block ones, like you call your assist, DR, you have your jump in. Your jump ins are usually plus, DR, and you have like your minus on block ones, right, into DR. So there's like a certain dynamic that exists that's pretty established. It just adds like another layer to it. How much it affects the game yet, I don't know. In the short term, I think it's gonna hit everybody, but in the long term, I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. The last one is when Dragon Rushes clash. So like when you take a Dragon Rush, you always get your air options back. Now there's this pretty specific case where you do get this, and I don't know if I'll get it on the first try. Hopefully this works. Okay, I didn't get it. Let me try this way. There's only one other way I know how to do it. Okay, hopefully that's it. As you can tell, it's pretty inconsistent. I didn't get it there. I'll try one more time. But it's basically a game esoteric. Like it comes up, but it's pretty uncommon / rare. Where there it is. I got it. Where you get your air options if someone Dragon Rushes you from plus frames, you can get your air options back. But now they're making it so that you just get them without having to do anything special. Doesn't matter the situation. It's kind of nice. It's like a preventative measure against things like this. So it would be enemy settings, Dragon Rush cancel. We must all be familiar with GT Goku doing this and keeping his turn, or like Bardock doing EX Lariat and keeping his turn with Vanish, right? For 2 bars, he stays in on you. This obviously supports the better characters. It's not all characters have ways of doing that. Kibu doing JM is another example. Like, not all characters have things like that. Usually the better characters have that stuff, and you're locked in. You have to keep offense. They get their assist back, blah, 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 blah. So now you'll have more opportunities to defend. Like, for example, Trunks is actually pretty good at getting out of this, but like not all characters have EX flip or something like that, right? So now you have your air dash, you have your jump. The post Dragon Rush tech will be a little bit more dynamic and less locked in. A lot of the offensive characters, again, have really good ways of keeping you down. So that is a good change. The next is still about Dragon Rush, but Snap. So now there are it seems to be two timings. There's the fast timing, which is the new default, and the slower timing that you could do by holding back. I think it's okay. Just like the limit break change, this is something they tried to address in Season 2, but the change they made didn't do enough. And in Season 2, what they tried to do, since it was just Piccolo, they were like, okay, we're going to assign meter cooldown to these actions so that you don't gain the meter all the time to keep running this over. It's basically Piccolo and Gotenks that were running this kind of game plan. And it did work for a little while, but over time, offense developed, and you have things like Universal Fuzzy and stuff like that, building meter until you kill. Some people will just literally do it over and over until they get enough meter and get to the opponent to 50%. And then just go for the kill off the hit. Some people, like my team for example, I don't want to hit you like 6 times. I'd rather hit your current character twice. So instead what I do is I snap in one character. The first touch should be I don't like a setup for a 2-touch, and then the second will be like a death. So example would be like, let's say I do this. Okay, we'll just hit him just to say because. Do this again. So now I bring back the original character, and so this combo will kill because I have all the meter I gain from Team Gohan. I get SSJ Goku back. Well, I mean, actually in this case it might not kill, but in actual games I would have done like 30% the first hit. It would kill. Right, so I basically created a 2-touch with snapping. That's another way you can do it. So with that in mind, it seems that despite the main trade-off being like, yeah, you get guaranteed mix-ups and stuff, but the opponent is getting life back, it takes them longer to kill, they want to make people feel like they could do something, because generally the only things you can do right now is that you can have a character that has a good level 3 against Snap. So for example, like Z Broly has one, Frieza has one, Tien's like okay, like some people have that. Or you can use your Spark against a Snap. Using your Spark there is pretty rough because you're locked out of assist. So you're kind of just, if you have like your whole team for example, and you want to Spark to protect your team, you're coming into Spark 6 to 7 seconds, you're locked out of assist for 8 seconds, so you probably only have a couple of seconds of assist, all things considered. It's kind of rough. So between that and if you don't have sparking, now you have something you can do. It adds a little bit more for the incoming player, because they made no change to how long you're locked out of assist. You're still locked out for 8 seconds, still no guard cancel, still no tag, still no assist calls. You kind of had to take it. So I think it's a pretty good compromise. We'll see how people treat it in the long term, because when Season 2 came out, people weren't snapping so much, but as offense developed more and more, people started building stuff for Snap, and we went back to people snapping in general / people building snapback teams to win games. So we'll see how this goes. The next one is a pretty big one too. It's EX moves cost half a bar, and if you look at the character notes, a lot of EX moves got changed because of this change. Because you could use EX moves more now. So like for example on my team, like GT, this got changed, and this got changed, and Team Gohan, of course, this got changed. Most characters have at least an EX move that got changed a bit. This is a very big deal. I think it affects the game a lot. Obviously, it is like a character-wide thing. So it's gonna change the game a lot. The game's gonna look kind of crazy now, to be honest, crazier. A lot of points during Dragon Ball, like there's a lot of this that goes on, of course, right? So having more access to EX moves means more access to strong tools, mean people want to use them more, meaning the game is moving. Even if matches take a long time, it will look active the whole time. It's good for players because they have more strong tools to use. It's good for spectators because more stuff's going on. It's a good change. I like it. 6M, kind of a small change. This only affects characters like Goku. Goku's the one I could think of off the top of my head. There are times where, like, thankfully this worked, but sometimes this doesn't work. So they're just making it so you don't cross up so that you can always consistently hit. The next change I think is actually a big change. So these do more damage. So specifically when you smash with a move, a 5H or 2H, you get more damage. And what this probably mostly does is, so for example, Trunks is out here, right? Trunks, he actually does not get that great of combos off 2H in general. Like there's the universal one that everyone does, but when he does it from this height, he is not really good at extending these hits. So whether or not your character is good at this, one of the main things that determine that is, do you have a move that dives down? Is probably the biggest thing, especially if you don't have an assist. If you have an assist, you can just use the assist. Depends on the assist, of course. But if you have a move that dives down or sends them downward, it is much easier to combo into something meaningful. So, for example, GT, he's got the orb. So I just made something up. I somehow dropped that. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. So it's very easy to do this compared to other characters. I get like 4.3 or so, no problem. Again, there's kind of a universal issue, like the one I showed, where you do like B, double jump, A, B, C, and to delay Vanish, or M, double jump, L, M, H, into stuff, right? There's stuff you can do there universally, but how good you are at using that extension really varies by your tool. So this doing more damage on cinematic is just a nice little way for people to do extra damage. Hopefully it's meaningful. Like it does 850 right now. I think it's the universal damage is 850. Hopefully it's like 1300, like something meaningful, a meaningful amount. If it's not a meaningful amount, it won't be that big of a change. If it is though, it will be good. I like it. The JH change is kind of weird. So they said they removed landing recovery when your jump heavy causes a cinematic, aka smash. But I already feel like it has no landing recovery, or like negligible. So that I will have to see. The next pretty important one I would say is about assists. So of course we know there's 3 assists per character. It has nothing to do with that. It has to actually do with what happens when you call an assist and then you're in block stun. So if you are not out of block stun for a certain amount of time, you can't use assist again. So if you look now, okay, so see how it's coming back like that, right? So it came back despite me, you know, basically. Oh, let's put him all guard to show it even better, right? So block this, and then So you see how it's coming back anyway, even though it's a pressing session right now. So they're basically making it so that your assist will not come back. I think that's a pretty big deal. One, it indirectly affects tagging, because then you just lose that option, right? 2, once you escape, you still have to wait for the initial cooldown. Probably, I want to see if there's a difference or not, but you're not gonna have assist available for a little bit after you get away. So then 1, tag is still not an option. 2, it gives a little bit of buff to the person attacking. You might be like, okay, the offensive player getting stuff is no bueno. The game needs more defensive options. No, the game doesn't really need that many more defensive options. Defensive options are crazy. There's so much stuff you have to look for as an attacking player. That's the whole reason. If, like, other players aside, why do you think I play a team that is Universal Fuzzy into Spirit Bomb? That's how good I think defense is in this game. That I had to pick that instead of my homie, right? I picked that. That's how good I think it is. So having raw tag, because raw tag, the main thing is you can't punish it, and I guess they don't want to make it punishable. So it's like a compromise of like, okay, you're not gonna have to worry about this so much, especially it's 2 characters remaining. You're not gonna have to worry about this so much. You still have to worry about the other stuff, and like if you can keep going, then good job, cool. And that, I think, is pretty much the last main one. There's also a command choice, so if you do like 9 after jumping, so if you do like 8, 9, apparently it will give you an air dash. If that helps you, cool. The default one, I think, is 9, 6. I cannot do 9, 6. Do not input air dashes the way I do. I input them the worst possible way. Look at my input, it's very cursed. It's very cursed. Do not learn how to do it this way. It only works for me. Don't do it that way. Them adding another way of doing it is kind of nice. Use it if it helps you. It might help with other things later on, but it would definitely be the only game where you get 8, 9 and you get an IED. We'll just see if that actually does anything. Let me know if you have any questions about these system mechanics. Again, there is a Evernote in the description with everything, absolutely everything, so definitely refer to that. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.